Hello, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I'm Alex, joining in from Cleveland, and I wanted to quickly show you guys what I've been working on for our June Summer School Series challenge. We've been talking a lot about that, and I was inspired because today we're actually going to be talking about piping, which is part of our striped whistles that we're going to be sharing with you guys today. We have some great samples and great fabrics that Linda's going to talk about for you guys today. But in the meantime, let's just start out with what this challenge is all about. We're gearing up for the month of June and the month of July, where we have our summer sewing series that we're very excited about. So if you remember from our other live streams, we've been showing you a cotton panel from the artist Gustav Klimt. Betsy and I did our filming last week where we did a presentation on the artist and then also talked through a lot about the plaza and are going to be showing you guys the techniques within our plaza jacket pattern. So what I did, really all you're supposed to do is take the plaza jacket and take this panel and merge an idea together to create whatever you want. Now, you don't have to use the plaza jacket, although we are recommending it. So if you have another sewing workshop pattern, we are okay with that, but we are recommending the plaza jacket. So that pattern is on sale. It's a PDF pattern, and here is mine. I took the plaza jacket and I lengthened it and I made it out of this wonderful viscose fabric that kind of echoed the same swirls that I saw within the Klimt panel. So here it is, lengthened and lovely. So I lengthened this about 9 inches, and then I added baby piping to my side seams. And the baby piping is in the panel fabric. So the panel fabric is kind of like a secret. It's like you don't know it's there until you look at the piping. So I had some extra piping left over. So I cut up bias strips to make my bias piping for the panel. So that's part of my June Artist Challenge. We're excited to see what you guys come up with for June. And now we're going to transfer it over to Linda, who's going to talk to us more about piping and more about the striped Whistles shirt.
Hi there. Well, maybe I should show the panel since I have it sitting right here. So if you order 1 yard of fabric, at least, then you say in the comments that you're going to be part of the challenge, we send you this panel for free, and you can use it however you choose, either just a little bit or a lot. I worked on my plaza and actually thought I wasn't going to use very much, and I ended up with barely any scraps left. So apparently I didn't know what I was doing, but it's a great piece of fabric to work with. It's really fun because there's lots and lots of different geometric shapes as part of the panel. So that's the panel. Let me start with my stash fabric. So in one of the bins in the basement, in the vault, excuse me, I found this, which at first glance I thought was a hand woven, but it isn't, because the back is something different. And I think it would look the same on both sides if it were hand woven. But this is, I think, rayon. Doesn't really say, but I'm pretty sure it is. It's very drapey. And the texture is kind of like chenille, very soft, textured. There's 2.5 yards here. That's always the quantity I buy, sometimes 3 yards if I don't really know what I'm going to do. And so this is $35. Whoever would like to have this can email me at linda@sewingworkshop.com, and it'll be yours. You can tell it's very drapey. So there it is, today's stash. All right, so this Thursday is our Q&A for So Confident at 4 o'clock Central Time. And this is your opportunity to do a show and tell. Show us what you've been working on, whether it's this month's project or anything from So Confident. Hope to see you there. Let's see, Alex talked about the summer series that you can sign up for. You get the Plaza Jacket, the June project, and you get the July project, which is the poppy not poppy fabric, the poppy pattern. And that's a sew along, which is going to be really interesting, where we meet up about 3 times, kind of check in with what you're up to, and we'll be sewing with one another virtually. It's going to be fun. Okay. Yes, the one on the left, as you're, maybe it's on the right. I'm always reversed on this, this camera, but you can see the plaza jacket. Linda Wardlow made this jacket using the Klimt Panel and edged it with some flat piping, which is different than what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about filled piping today. And then the other one is the poppy vest, a pattern also from the vault. And it's in a semi-sheer textured linen. It has a little bit of a glaze shimmer over it, I guess I'll call it. And then Nancy Schreiber has done some sashiko stitching, which she's going to talk about during the sew along as well. So that's our summer series. You can sign up for both classes for $101. If you're already a member of Sew Confident, you will have it. You don't need to sign up separately. All right, today we're going to talk about the Whistles shirt. And I have to tell a little story first. My husband is kind of a big guy, so he goes out to the mall or what few men's stores we have around here, and he's always like one size bigger than they actually carry. So back in the day when he was actually dressing a little bit better for work, now it's Hawaiian shirts and shorts to go to work. I remember when it was a 3-piece suit and a tie, but things have evolved for him. Same business, whatever, but anyway. So we used to go to Chicago about once a year, and he would buy 2 or 3 pairs of pants and a couple shirts at a place called Rochester Big and Tall, which I don't even know if is there anymore. But I would go along because who doesn't want to go to Chicago, downtown Chicago? And I would look around while he was getting his 2 pairs of pants. And I was looking at shirts, and I saw this brand called Robert Graham. And I thought, oh my gosh, these are so interesting. So I made him buy one of the shirts. They're not super inexpensive. They're not super expensive either. They're kind of middle of the road, but they have a lot of elements to it. And the shirt that he bought is behind me. So I'm going to show it to you. So this is it. And I want to point out a few of the features and why I was kind of struck by it. First of all, the back inside yoke was embroidered. Not printed, but embroidered. And you can see that the undercollar is a different fabric. The inside of the stand is a different fabric. There are ribbons applied here and there along the front placket from very narrow, right here, to wider, like that. The cuffs inside, or the undercuff, is a contrasting fabric. And then hopefully you can see that there's piping, baby piping, that separates the front from the side panel. And then the 2 side panels that are separated by the side seam are on the bias. And there's a little bit of embroidery down here as well. So I was really intrigued by this garment. Here's another piece of ribbon that separates the yoke from the body of the garment. So I came back and made this one. So even though this is a plaid, I chose a stripe, and I purposely did a contrasting silk, actually, on the undercollar. This is cotton. I put a little patch here. Now, I saw that on another shirt, not the one that he bought, but this kind of reminded me of the Chicago jacket, where we do a top layer of a little contrast. I put a contrast cuff on it. And you can see that I also added the baby piping And the side panels are on the bias and form a chevron. Let me show you one that's done separated, and you can probably see it a little bit easier. There are the two side panels. There's a side seam, and I use the floral silk for the covering for the piping. But I also added another miter on the front. And this is an uneven stripe. So there was some thinking that had to be done on how to do that. So then I decided to write an article for Threads about cues from menswear. So I made this one. And you can see this was a detail that I saw on one of the shirts where I changed the direction of the stripe, curved the hem. Again, a contrast cuff with a line of ribbon. Put the ribbon down the center of the underlap. And then, of course, did just a little bit of contrast on the stand, separated by ribbon, and the whole stand and undercollar are contrast. So I made that one. That was in Threads. Another one that was in Threads is this one, where I actually did a little bit of machine embroidery on the inner yoke. Little paisley design. I have to fess up that I don't do my own machine embroidery. A friend of mine does. Even though I've taken a million classes on it, I'm too lazy. So here is a contrasting vent, traditional vent, and contrasting cuff. So I've inserted a couple of fabrics. And what else did I do? Oh, I did the machine embroidery, create, inspire, discover. And I think that's about it for this one. Also in Threads. I should have looked up the issue. So then I made our bells, which is also part of the printed pattern with the whistles. And again, a couple of contrasts here. This was an interesting detail from Robert Graham, where just part of the hem is covered with another piece of binding and a little insertion of a triangle at the side seam. I thought that was a really cool detail. So then, contrasting cuff, band. But the whistles has some elements to it that allow it to be broken up into various fabrics. And I think I put one blue button right there. And the rest of them are regular shirt buttons. And by the way, the buttons that Robert Graham uses are very small, but they have this little rim of pearl. And we have this button, or something so similar. So if you're ever in need of the perfect men's shirting button, we have them, and you can call Deb or anyone here, and they can help you. So all of this kind of came together to put together a, oh, let me show you the original whistles. That might help you realize why I chose the whistles. Now the whistles normally has 3 flanges on the front with 3 of the buttons hidden, really almost 4. and then the back has 2 flanges. But if you think about this without that, you know, not everybody wants that, or at least more than a couple. This is a really, really nice basic shirt to make with or without the flanges. I really like the collar. It doesn't have a stand, but I like the way it can either splay open or you can button it clear up. It comes in a long version or a short version. So, you know, to me, it's just a basic shirt to work with, which is what we've done for a couple of the tutorials that we had that I'm going to talk about later. So let's talk about some of the elements and what happens with that. So piping, the filled piping, we use rat tail. Now, it doesn't matter what color because it's going to be covered up. And the reason I use this is that it's very flexible, so it can go around curves, bends, but it doesn't flatten out like the cotton cable cord that you can buy. And it doesn't get distorted. It stays the same diameter, circumference all the time that you're using it. So of course you're going to cut your bias, and I always just wrap the fabric around this to see how much I need and then add some. I want to make it wider because I can't always guarantee that the 2 raw edges are going to be together. So I wrap the bias around, and then I use a 3-groove, let's get this where you can see it, 3-groove pin tuck foot. There we go. Now, for Bernina people, that's a number 30. For anybody else, I don't know. I can't help you. But at any rate, one of these grooves is exactly the right size to just go down the length of this rat tail and the covering and stitch it. It's just perfect. It's better than a cording foot. It's better than a zipper foot. I really recommend that everybody own this foot because I use it a lot, actually. And you're going to set the needle in a position so that it's close to the piping, but not so snug that nothing can move in there. So you want it about 1 or 2 clicks, I'll call it, to the left of the piping. So then you're going to trim it. And you want a 5/8 inch trim. You can use a little template. You can cut a little piece of tag board, 5/8 of an inch wide, lay it next to this and cut it with a rotary cutter. Or actually, I like to use the biggest shears that I own. These have become my major trimming shears. I like to be able to get long cuts. These are called LDH scissors. The company's owned by a family in Canada, and they're just beautiful, beautiful shears. These are the tailor's shears. So the longer the better for me, and you can chalk mark that line and then cut along it if you want to. So then when you apply this to one or the other sides, whichever you're going to apply it to, say you're going to apply it to the front, all the raw edges are going to be together. And I'm going to use Fusey Web to fuse this down. Then I know it's not going to move. I can tell right away if there are going to be any puckers. I can make sure that this has been pulled down. See how that's going to already curve? I want to make sure it can be straight in this case. And then I'm going to sandwich that between the next layer, which in this case would be this one. So I'm going to sew that seam with the piping hidden. And I'm going to use this foot again, using one of the grooves. It'll just sit right over the piping. But I'm going to move my needle position closer to the piping, so I'm really snug. And I'm going to sew on the side where I've previously stitched. So you can see I've moved my needle position over. but I want that previous stitching to be my guide so I know that my needle position is closer to the piping. So those are my little tricks for piping. Now, to do this miter here, this, of course, is after you've planned it, you know that it's going to line up and all of that. You have I'm working on my ironing surface, which is padded. This is on the bias, so you don't want this to get stretched out. But I take my chalkener and I mark a 5/8 inch seam allowance line on that. And then within the seam allowance, I apply a strip of fusee web. I take the paper off, the paper covering of the fusee web, and then I'm going to pin this pretty frequently. I'd say about every inch and a half, something like that. And I'm going to pin through the two chalkener chalk lines so that I know my stripes are lined up at those pinpoints. Then I can fuse this seam down and I don't have to worry about it anymore. But I'm still going to use a walking foot and make sure that things don't slip and move. And that's what that fusee web does. It's amazing, amazing stuff. So that once you stitch it, you know you've got your miter. Now, all of this is in a tutorial called Striped Whistles, which was a 2023 So Confident project. So if you were a member of 2023, go back and find it. But those of you who weren't, you can sign up for just that class. All right, so do you have any questions, Alex, so far?
I do not see any questions about the shirts. People are wondering what you're wearing.
I'm wearing another version of the Whistles, which is the pullover. So this is another tutorial. It was, I believe, the next month. Last year we were doing the same pattern for 2 months. So 1 month was this one, and the next month was this one. And so we're using striped cottons on this one. We're creating this yoke. And we added some Liberty of London cotton for one sleeve. So this is one colorway, the green. And this is another colorway, the orange. Both of these fabrics, I can tell which one is yours and which one is mine. Erin has long arms. So anyway, these two fabrics, Liberty of London, you know, which is the best cotton ever. Both of these fabrics are on sale this week. We have a little bit left of both of those. But we also have kits of this that are on sale as well. But that's what I have on. These were inspired by Alex and I believe Samantha were poking around on websites and found something from the designer house Libertine, which, Alex, is that an LA designer?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and they do very exotic combinations of fabrics. It's a fun website to follow. So that was the inspiration for these pullovers. So, all right.
Linda, what size are you wearing, if you would like to share?
Well, probably a small, but I don't really know. None of these are marked. This is so typical of us. We forget the last step, which is putting the tag in it, but I'm pretty sure I'm a small in the Whistles. It's a little bit generous, not a ton, but I know I'm not an extra small, and I probably could wear a medium. So let me show you a couple of other things. We also have done the Whistles in these panel fabrics. And these have the flanges, I call them, or the whistles. And these were made out of some fabrics that were just made in panels. And they were like painted from an artist. And we don't have this fabric left, but we certainly have the tutorial on how to make the whistles, start to finish, which is, it's a long sleeve pattern normally, but of course you can make it short sleeve like this one. I want to show you one more garment that I did, because this whole Robert Graham thing set me on this course of thinking differently about undercollars and stands. So here is a little red and white check. I put a little contrasting button right here. It's different than the rest of them. The sleeve is a different stripe. The bottom panel is a different stripe on the bias. So even though this isn't particularly Robert Graham, you know, one thing kind of leads to another and it just sort of gets ingrained in there and you can hardly do a collar anymore in the same fabric. So this is the Hibiscus shirt. We probably could put a kit like this together.
We also have class.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's look at some fabric. You ready for that?
And just to clarify, we have 3 Whistles type classes and tutorials and video workshops on sale this week. We have the Whistles shirt, which Linda just showed, that you can sign up for. And that is an online workshop where it is a video course where Linda teaches you how to make the Whistles shirt. There is also the striped Whistles online workshop. That is for sale this week. And we have the third one, which is the Whistles Pullover online workshop, which is what Linda is wearing. Right. So 3 different Whistles online workshops on sale this week.
Right. Okay. So we have 2 stripes. Excuse me. I hope that didn't. You think that came on the? Yeah, probably so. Okay. Here we go. So this fabric is cotton. It's a woven stripe, not a printed stripe. And it's a Guatemalan stripe. It has that sort of beefy texture to it, but it's a very lightweight cotton, actually. But it has a nice texture to it. Okay, so what we've done is use the 2 stripes that we have and found some contrasting florals for the undercollar, the undercuff, and the piping, and the little tab. So these are the 2 stripes. You can see the width is, what, 45? Yes, 45 inches. You know, a summer pale pastel grouping of kind of a peachy pink, a little bit of a limey yellow, gray, and a darker gray. So these are the 2 prints that go really nicely with them. I love this. This is a cotton, I believe. Yes, cotton, beautiful flowers, all the colors are there. And then this more abstract, looks like brush strokes. Cotton also. But can't you just see all those together? I mean, even if you don't want to make the whistles, I can see pants, top, a little bit of, I can see all of them together, to tell you the truth. You could either have some fun pants in the print, or you could have some striped pants with prints on the top. And then here's a darker version. I'm dragging a string around. Okay. This one, bright green, a teal, a blueberry, and a plum. Again, woven, so that they look absolutely the same on both sides. And then these are the 2 prints that really go nicely. This is more of a same value. This has a lighter value, but the colors are absolutely spot on. I believe this is cotton as well. Yes. And this one is cotton. Yep, all cottons. So the whole wall is cotton. And in addition, we have the two Liberties. The green and the orange. So that's our fabric selection this week. So we have a lot on sale. We have these fabrics plus the two Liberties. We have the 3 tutorials. We have the Whistles pattern. Now, if you order the printed, you still have it, right? Mm-hmm. Printed whistles, it comes with the bells also, bells and whistles. And that is this pattern. So you get both this pattern and this pattern in one envelope printed. Or you can order the whistles as a digital pattern only. Are both links in there?
Yeah.
Both links are in the digital pattern. So, and we're putting these beautiful shears on sale as well. They're 11-inch tailor shears. These are on sale as well. You can just tell by the way they move that they're just smooth as glass. And the rat tail is on sale. We sell this in 4-yard hunks. Is that everything?
And these are the kits.
Oh, so we have kits of the Whistles Pullover. That's it. Yeah, that's a lot. Okay. That is today. So, any questions yet, Alex?
All right, I just see some comments about the fabric combinations. They're really stunning and innovative, and it's interesting to look at the unconventional combinations.
Great. Well, we can thank or blame Erin.
Let's just show again the samples of the whistles and make a note of what is an online workshop.
Okay, so this is an online workshop called the Striped Whistles. And you get all the instructions to do this miter, make the piping, do your chevron side panels, and how to make the whole garment. That's one workshop on sale. This is a workshop on sale, and you get all the information about changing your pattern to make this yoke, add a cuff. I feel like this is a different shape. I think we make this shape, as normally it's squared off, and how to do a handkerchief hem. Add this little, this is actually a prairie point. That's on sale. And then we have a tutorial on simply how to make the whistles as the whistles, with the whistles. So 3 tutorials related. We must like the whistles. I know I do. I actually wear this, this first one that I made. I actually wear this a lot. I love this. So this one I've worn a lot. So then the whistles, bells and whistles as a printed pattern, whistles as a digital pattern, the scissors, the rat tail.
Yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
Would you mind showing Linda Wardlow's sample of the plaza?
Sure. Yeah, people really like this. I had a call this morning from someone who wanted exactly this. So we fixed her up.
Yeah, it is all linen except for the panel.
Right. So this is a natural linen. This is linen also, the railroad stripe. And then she did the decorative stitching, one of the stitches on her machine. And her panel was used for one side of the lapel and the opposite sleeve band and the back. We chose the plaza, not only because we like the plaza, but because it has a lot of places, a lot of room for reinventing this. You can lengthen it. You can make it, you can leave the sleeves off, make it into kind of a poncho vest sort of thing. You can play around with the front lapels. So there it is.
Do we sell the rat tail by the yard?
We only sell it, oh, we probably could, but it's not very expensive. We sell it in 4-yard pieces, actually. But on the website, it's a 4-yard piece.
I don't see any more questions.
Okay. Well, great. Are we done, Alex?
I think so. Just we're heading into June, so just another last reminder: if you want to join our summer school series, if you are not already a So Confident member, maybe you just want to have some fun new projects to work on this summer. We have the Plaza and the Poppy that we're working on in June and July, and then we are finishing up the Teagarden tea. So we have our final Q&A this week. So if you want to join this summer series, you purchase this and you actually get a link to what we call a course page that has all the details to everything about these months' challenges and these months' projects. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and email me at alex@sewingworkshop.com. And we'd love to have you participate in this. And like my sample I showed earlier, where I have my Plaza, and it's mainly one singular fabric, and I have just used piping on my seams using my the panel. That's something you could do. All you have to do is use an inch of the panel, and that's all. So you don't have to use a lot of it if you don't want to, unless you want to just use all of it like Linda Wardlow did. So Linda's going to show us the Teagarden. That is what we are working on this month. If you want to join the Teagarden online workshop, so that's coming up, and we have our final Q&A. And if you join this online workshop, you get access to the online workshop that teaches you how to make this really interesting pattern, really interesting shirt, and access to the 2 Zoom Q&As that we have. And if you miss any of that, we post the recordings to your course page. So yeah, would love to have you join us for any of these.
All right. Thanks so much, Alex. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.